Good evening. At this time, I'd like to call to order the Planning Commission meeting of June 10th, 2019. Please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will the Secretary please call the roll?
Commissioner Buss?
Present.
Commissioner Cohan?
Present.
Commissioner Lanson?
Here.
Commissioner Newman?
Here.
Chair McMahon?
Here. And it appears we do not have any public comments. Is that correct? Okay. Any written comments? No. Public comments? No. And then we move on to the consent calendar. The consent calendar has the minutes of May 20th, 2019. Do any of my fellow commissioners have any comments or motion to approve the minutes? Yeah. Commissioner, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that we approve the consent calendar for the Planning Commission meeting of May 20th, 2019.
Thank you. Can you please prepare us for a vote?
Okay. Motion passes 4-0. Commissioner Lanson abstaining.
Thank you. All right, now we're at public hearings. Will the clerk please open the public hearing?
Hearing having been advertised by law is hereby opened to consider case DP 2018-70521 to allow demolition of an existing industrial building and for construction of a new multi-tenant industrial building. The applicant is Rexford Industrial, located at 851 Lawrence Drive.
Thank you. And then Mr. Parker, or are we going to have?
Thank you, Chair.
Okay.
The presentation this evening will be given by Lori Young. She's the Senior Planner with the Planning Division. Accompanying her is Kari Finley, one of our planning managers, as well as Jim from our engineering department. And with that, I'll turn it over to Lori, who will take us through the presentation.
Good evening, Chair McMahon and members of the Planning Commission. Tonight we have a request to demolish an existing industrial building, which is about 50,000 square feet, and to construct a new 86,800 square foot multi-tenant industrial building. The site is located in the Rancho Caneo industrial area, and it's located in the south west corner of Lawrence Drive and Teller Road. The property is about 4.8 acres in size, zoned M1, and is located in Specific Plan 15, which is the Rancho Caneo Specific Plan. This specific plan was adopted by the city in 1991 for the purpose of allowing the unincorporated industrial area properties to continue with the same county development standards and land uses that existed in the county at that time. The building was approved in 1963 under the county. Since then, in 2015 and 2016, approvals were granted to allow some exterior building improvements, site landscaping improvements, and also to allow multi-tenant office use in the building. Here's a site on looking from Lawrence Drive, looking northwest. This is looking southwest. There's the existing driveway. The new driveway will be further south, about 155 feet. This is at the top of the existing driveway. There's a slope that comes up. The existing driveway slope is about 14%. Oops. Here's another view of the building looking northwest. Here's another photo looking at the slope there along Lawrence Drive. Here's another shot looking across Lawrence Drive where you see the slope where the biobasin will be. And this is looking south on Lawrence Drive. This is at the intersection of Teller Road and Lawrence Drive. This is at the driveway on Teller Road, looking looking east. And here's a view of the rear of the building. And this is looking northeast at south end of the building. The proposed building is 86,800 square feet, and it has been designed for a maximum of 4 tenant suites. Each one will have a equal mix of warehouse and manufacturing use with supporting offices on the first and mezzanine. Some of the new features that will be provided from this building are raised loading docks, energy efficiency, flexible floor plan for stacking, recent technology, and quality office space. The site was lowered to help reduce the driveway grade. In order to do that, retaining walls had to be constructed along the west property line, 1 to 3 feet in height, and along the south property line, and the height ranges from 1 to 4 feet. Approximately 30,000 cubic yards of dirt will be exported as part of this project, and this requires 2,100 truck trips. And these trips will have to be reviewed by Public Works, where they're coming from, how they're leaving. But there's no residential around here, so that shouldn't be a problem, and they should be able to park the trucks on the site. Here's a site plan. See Teller Road, Lawrence Drive. The entrances to the tenant spaces are located here along the east. In the rear, you could see the loading zones for loading areas for the 4 tenants. To the right is where the biobasin will be to take care of the stormwater runoff. It's a grading plan. And here are the elevations. The top one is the elevation you'll see from Teller Road, and then the second one is the Lawrence Drive elevation. This project requires Planning Commission review because they need to have waivers approved for driveway grades that exceed the maximum 7% allowed by the code. The Lawrence Drive driveway is 10%, as shown on the plans. The applicant has redesigned it and shifted the location 155 feet south of the existing location. And the Teller Drive, there's a limited area where the grade exceeds 8.5%. This driveway, although it needs a waiver, it is an improvement over the 14% grade that currently exists. And Teller Road, it only occurs in a small area. So we feel that there's justification for those waivers. Here's a grading section, maybe a little hard to see. This shows you that the biobasin is between the parking area and Lawrence Drive. You have a sidewalk. Then there's the off-site area, which will also be landscaping. So we'll have about 17 feet that will be landscaped in front of the wall closest to Lawrence Drive. In the back is the wall that's going to be 7 feet that needs a waiver. Also, the applicant will be required to put a 42-inch safety rail on top of the wall to prevent any, hazardous situations. So yeah, the waiver is needed for the biobasin wall. This wall is, part of the biobasin structure, and the height and the size is determined by the calculations that go into it for like water capacity and filtration time for the water. Public Works has reviewed the plans and the design of the basin and supports it. The wall is needed to comply with stormwater regulations, and it's not designed to be any larger than it needs to be. Also, because of it's pushed back towards the parking lot, there's areas to landscape it in front of the wall and also within the basin. There'll be berming, so we'll have trees, shrubs, and ground cover in front of it. And also, vines will grow on the inside to provide further covering of the wall. The project is exempt under CEQA, under Class 32 infill development on projects less than 5 acres. In conclusion, the existing building is functionally obsolete, and it cannot provide some of the traits that the new tenants are looking for today. In the past, the owners have added cosmetic improvements to the building and helped try to improve the site with new landscaping. However, they've had difficulty attracting tenants. The new project will have a fresh, modern look, nice visual appeal. The building will provide things that tenants want today: energy efficiency, raised loading docks, flexible floor plans, and high-quality office space. Finally, it's recommended that the Planning Commission approve DP 2018-70521 based on the findings and subject to the attached resolution. Tonight, we also have Jim Taylor, Senior Civil Engineer. If you have any questions about the drainage, water, etc. That concludes my remarks.
Thank you. Do we have any questions of staff?
Thank you, staff. Thank you, Lori, for your great presentation. And thank you to the applicant for your interest in the City of Thousand Oaks. Had a question regarding the truck trips, the 2,100 truck trips. I understand that it's going to be reviewed ultimately by Public Works during plan check. Is there a site in mind already for where the dirt will be transported to?
Not as yet. There's going to be a plan review process, and the timing is always critical on those types of things. So at the time we start issuing permits, the applicant will be looking for suitable sites. If all else fails, it can always go to the Simi Valley landfill, and they will use that for their daily cover.
Great. And is there a threshold for the number of trips that would cause applicant or, according to CEQA, require an air quality study?
If I may jump in right there, given that the project qualifies for an exemption based on its size and the amount of construction involved with it, there isn't a set threshold in terms of earth moving that would qualify that. There's a certain amount of earth disturbance that is acceptable in order to apply an exemption to a project. So this project falls within that threshold.
Got it. Thank you.
Commissioner?
Thank you. And thank you, Ms. Young, for your report. I just want to be sure I understand the thinking behind granting the waiver for the 7-foot retaining wall. As I understand it from the report, the justification is that this is necessary. There's no other way to put in the basin with the quantity of water we're talking about. There's no other way to do that without having a retaining wall, and that's the justification for having a wall that's above the 6-foot limit. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so we're not doing away with the 6-foot limit in other cases.
No.
We're saying there's no other way to do it in this case.
Right. And,
Right.
you know, it's part of the structure itself, so.
Okay. A couple of minor questions in the resolution. Yeah, this is attachment 4 in our packet. I'm just going over there now. Condition 17, this is on page 6 of attachment 4. This may just be a wording thing, but the last sentence of that condition, number 17, sets a limit on the gradient of 7%. And then the very next condition, condition 18, says, hey, it's okay to have a 10% grade in this case. So I'm wondering if that last sentence should be deleted or modified to say something like, except where waivers are granted.
In the condition number 17,
Yes.
all gradients, you know, of the Thousand Oaks Municipal Code, unless otherwise authorized herein. So it's basically saying that, you know, in other areas, you need to comply. And then the next condition says, unless that's the otherwise authorized herein. And then we refer to the areas that exceed it.
So you don't see this as a contradiction between 17 and 18? Okay.
No.
All right. Condition 55. This is page 13. This is just a typo. I think close up the S between light and S.
Thank you.
So it's plural lights we're talking about. And finally, condition 67 on page 15. And following up on Commissioner Cohan's questions about earth removal, given that this is one of the larger earth removal projects we've had in recent years, I'm wondering, I did not see a condition requiring on-site parking for all construction vehicles. I'm wondering if there is adequate space in the area for street parking that in a way that would not inconvenience any of the neighbors.
There's a lot of parking all around there. And the site has a lot of parking. I mean, there's a lot of, it's pretty huge.
The site is quite large. I'm just wondering, given that the project contemplates raising the entire building and lowering the entire pad by quite a bit, if during that process, will construction vehicles still be able to be parked on site, and if not, is there sufficient parking in the area to accommodate them?
I believe there's sufficient parking.
All right.
I mean, people are parking around that whole area.
Okay, so there's no risk of inconvenience to the neighbors then?
Right.
Great. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing further.
Commissioner?
Thank you, Ms. Young, for your report. Just a quick question. As part of the process, did you receive any notes, letters, communications, telephone calls, anything from any neighbors of the area providing any comments with regard to the project?
None.
Thank you. Nothing else.
Anyone else? I had a quick question. There's no bio basin there currently, is that correct?
That's correct.
Is this a recent thing that we do?
Well, you know, the building was built in 1963, so they didn't have these regulations now, but maybe Jim Taylor can answer your question?
I'll bet I can. Since 1987, the federal regulations for stormwater have been gradually increasing and getting more and more sophisticated. The most recent permit issued to the county, Ventura County, was in 2010. And in that iteration of permits that we've received, there was a requirement for capture and no discharge for stormwater. As was commented within, I think it was within the drainage report, I'm not sure how many exhibits you guys received, but the bottom line is that they are having to biofiltrate 150% of the requirement because they cannot infiltrate. There's too much clay, there's too much rock. So as a result, the basin is quite big. It's based on the principle of ponding water sitting on top of shrubberies that can actually sustain a limited amount of flooding. And the water absorbs through the root mass down through the permeable soil underneath and eventually will be allowed to discharge under certain frequency storms. But for the most part, we're getting really good treatment of the parking lot and roof drainage surfaces.
Thank you. And just to be clear, the entire parking lot, where the structure is and where it isn't, all the asphalt, that whole site is going to be lowered? Okay. And one last question, just to be clear, this is an approval or a disapproval. It's not a recommendation to City Council. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you very much. And now it's time for the applicant and the applicant's representative to speak. You will have 15 minutes. Please state your name and city of residence.
Taylor Lesseth, Los Angeles, California. Members of the Planning Commission, we'd like to thank you for your time and consideration in considering our project. I would specifically like to thank Lori Young and Kelvin Parker in the Department of Public Works in assisting us in this comprehensive review process. First, I'd like to discuss who we are as Rexford. Oh, turn it on. Gotcha. There we go. So who is Rexford? Rexford Industrial is a publicly traded real estate investment trust located in Los Angeles, California. We exclusively invest, develop, and manage industrial, warehouse, and manufacturing space in the greater Southern California area, ranging from Ventura County down to San Diego County. We have a very diverse portfolio consisting of over 22 million square feet at the moment. Rexford has a proven track record of creating value and developing older vintage and distressed buildings into market-leading product that elevates the surrounding neighborhoods and satisfies the demand within the submarket. Rexford is a long-term owner and manages all projects in-house. This way, we establish long-term relationships with all of our tenants. So why Ventura County? Why does Rexford invest in Ventura? Ventura submarkets are incredibly undersupplied with high-end modern industrial product. Ventura boasts an incredibly highly educated workforce, and the Thousand Oaks submarket offers close proximity to high-end housing and that house many of the tenants that we have fostered relationships with. Rexford currently owns almost 2.4 million square feet of high-end industrial real estate in Ventura County alone. So why 851 Lawrence? 851 Lawrence Drive offers a rare opportunity to construct a unique, modern industrial building in a submarket that is undersupplied and is located in a high-image location on a main thoroughfare. It is the perfect opportunity for Rexford to show the city of Thousand Oaks how we execute projects and do business, offering the highest quality design and integrity that is both functional and satisfies the market demand. This way, both the city of Thousand Oaks, Rexford, and its tenants can benefit from the execution of a project such as this. So a little bit about the project from our end. Through comprehensive coordination with the City of Thousand Oaks Planning Department, Rexford has designed the modern functional elevations you see before you in Exhibit A. The newly enhanced top north elevation shows the depiction of the facade from Teller Road. The extensive use of glass offers interest, color, and symmetry, and when combined with the articulation provided by the tile monoliths, we experience a modern structure with all the visual benefits of a contemporary industrial building. Consistent with the temporary design of the exterior, the office spaces bring light and color to the work surfaces. We believe our design will enhance the Google Earth image of this address and set the bar for future industrial buildings in the surrounding area. The below Exhibit B shows the existing elevations facing Teller Road. As you can see, the chain link fence and mechanical equipment currently face Teller. Our enhanced facade will bring a modern, more aesthetically pleasing view of the building from that view of the street. Additionally, we plan to LEED certify the building to accommodate a modern, state-of-the-art, more environmentally sound facility. That being said, we're here to discuss and vote on a project that is both comprehensive and state-of-the-art. And we would hope that you could see this as beneficial for not only Rexford and our tenants, but also for the city of Thousand Oaks. I'd like to thank you for your time and consideration. If you have any questions.
Are there any questions? Commissioner?
Mr. Lessa, thank you for your presentation. I have just two questions. One of the conditions requires that all construction work be done in a single phase. And so I'm wondering how long you estimate the project would take and what are your approximate start and finish dates?
I'm going to turn this over to our Senior Vice President of Development and Construction, Bruce Herb Kurzman, to answer your questions. Thank you.
All right. Great job, Taylor. Thank you. So it's about 11-month schedule, start to finish. That doesn't include, the torrential rain factor that we had this year. Although the good news is we anticipate starting within the next, say, 30 to 60 days. We've been at our own risk. We've submitted our plans at risk, so we're already through plan check on a number of the design packages, and kind of the final piece is the grading, which was held up because we spent the last 6 months with the city trying to figure out these driveways, and we finally collectively were able to figure out, I think, a pretty good solution. So hopefully that answers your question.
It does, thank
Great.
you. The only other question I had, sir, is regarding the elevation slides.
Yes.
This was in Mr. Lessa's presentation. Are the white areas depicted in the slides, are those glass windows?
No,
or is that
the white is the concrete panels that are painted.
painted concrete?
Yes.
All right,
Yes,
very good.
scored and painted.
All right,
Yes.
great. Thanks very much. Nothing further.
Anybody else have any questions? Commissioner?
I've got one question. I just, well, further detail on this biobasin structure. How do we calculate the size required for this biobasin? Is it based on historical rainfall measures, or how do we arrive at this number?
Well, Jim's the expert. Hi, Jim. But let me try. Can I try? So, for all sites in California, you have to go, and one of the first activities you do is you do percolation tests on your site to figure out the rate of absorption into your soil. So that was done, and then they take the civil engineer takes the entire area of the site, calculates that based on the historical rains and what volume of water you're putting into the ground and whether it can absorb and not create standing water on your site. Basically, that's the layman's approach. I'm sure Jim can really delve in, but that's
Yeah, just following up. So are these numbers based on, I've lived in TO about 30 years now, and last couple of years we've seen extraordinary changes in the amount of rainfall we're getting and what season it occurs in. So I was just curious, are we using standards based upon the 10 years of drought we experienced, the 2 decades before that, or are we going with what's happening now? How do we project that?
The Ventura County Watershed Protection District actually provides us rain gauge information that has been reduced into a hydrologic statistical fashion over the course of, I think it's about 68 years of rainfall records at this point. So we know how much rain falls each day, each month, and each year for the last 68 years, I believe. So statistically, we determine how frequently certain rainfall intensities occur. And that's basically what hydrology is. You figure out inches per hour intensity of rain based upon certain frequencies, and they're called 10% is 10-year, 1% is 100-year, and in this case, we're focused on a very low frequency, the Q2, which is a very frequent storm. It occurs about every other year. So that type of rainfall hitting this rooftop and pavement and some of the landscaping is all channeled into this basin, and it creates a certain amount of flow rate, what we call cubic feet per second. And that plant box that's being proposed here will absorb a certain amount of flow through that soil strata at a certain rate, and the net square footage will take care of all of that flow at whatever that CFS or cubic feet per second rate was.
Yeah, the actual functionality makes sense to me. I'm just curious about the statistics we're using. The building that they're talking about replacing is 50 years old. I just wonder if the data set that we're going to be using will be appropriate, and this building will have a similar lifespan. And if we're confident of that, I'm great.
I'm very confident of that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Okay. At this point, we're supposed to have speakers from the public, but we don't.
Well, again, I want to thank the commissioners, echoing Taylor's gratitude, and also, again, the city, Jim and his team, and Lori and Kelvin bent over backwards to, we'd call a meeting and they'd like clear their calendars. It was awesome. And I've lived in Thousand Oaks for a decade and a half. And finally, we have a ground-up project in Thousand Oaks. My boss is the CEO, and I kept telling him, hey, we have to buy in the Conejo Valley. It's a great community. It's a great place to be. And then in January of this year, we bought the Conejo Spectrum, so we made a splash. So again, looking forward to working with all of you, and appreciate your time.
Thank you. At this point, are there any other questions of staff? Anything? All right, then I guess we can close the public hearing, and I will open up the floor for a motion and or discussion. Okay, somebody.
I'll go 2 for 2 and make a motion again. I'd like to make a motion. Let me get the number in front of me this time. I'd like to make a motion to approve DP 2018-70521 to allow the demolition of an existing industrial building and for construction of a new multi-tenant industrial building at 851 Lawrence Drive. Based on the findings as provided in the staff report and resolutions.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. Any comments on the motion? Anybody? Then I guess we can prepare us for a vote, please.
Motion carries 5-0.
So I'm sorry, you're supposed to have a rebuttal period. I didn't give it to you, but it looks like a great project, so thank you for bringing it to us. All right, so now we're back to department reports, and we have none. Staff update, no, excuse me, commission comments and AB 1234 reports. Commissioners? No? Okay. Staff update. Follow-up items, announcements, and upcoming issues. Mr. Parker?
Thank you, Chair. Just wanted to point out that we do have the next two Planning Commission agendas chock full of items. There's currently a minimum of 3 items on each of these coming meetings. Additionally, staff has requested and scheduled with the Commission a special meeting on July 29th. There are currently 2 items on that agenda, so 1 additional item became available, so to be added to your forecast that you will receive next week.
Okay. That it? This is a quick meeting. All right. In that case, thank you, everybody. And I will adjourn to 6 o'clock on June 24th, 2019.